Executive Secretary, Kaduna State Emergency Management Agency, Mohammed Mukadas, joins me on the news for Mondays because Kaduna State is also one of the states listed by the NIMET that would face flooding disaster this year. Good to have you join us.
Thank you for having me.
So every year we've seen how Kaduna State is constantly battered by heavy rains and leading to flood. We've seen how lives and property have been lost in that flood. It is still, reeling from the consequences and effects of last year's flood. What exactly is the challenge?
For last year, Kaduna State is one of the least states that suffered from flood. We experienced flash flooding. However, we are already planning, having received the climate, the seasonal climate prediction from NIMET. We have already commenced disaster risk reduction sensitization outreaches in our communities. The government, through one of its agencies, Kaduna Capital Territory Authority, has since commenced dredging of River Kaduna and, of course, desilting the metropolis. And Kaduna State Emergency Management Agency is working closely with all the 6 other local governments that were highlighted by NIMET, to be able to replicate what is happening in the metropolis, thereby desilting, those communities. We have carried out a number of subnational coordination forum meetings with our stakeholders. This enables us to prepare the stakeholders so as they can as well contribute when, we want to action, our contingency plan. We are in the process of identifying safe havens in these probable local government areas so as to be able to provide temporary shelter for anyone that might be, affected. Again, we have reactivated our emergency operations center, which enable stakeholders to come together and discuss emerging threats, as well as updating our 2023 risk analysis map and contingency plan. So these are some of what we have done. And of course, encouraging all stakeholders and communities to join hands with the State Emergency Management Agency towards, preparing for the upcoming, foreseeable flood. Thank you.
And I get that all that you have highlighted. But I was asking you, what exactly have you found to be the challenge? Is it a drain? Because you say you're dredging the river. Is it a drainage problem? What exactly is the issue? And then when are you going to evacuate those who are going to be affected by this recent announcement by NIMET? Mr. Mukadas, please unmute yourself. We can't hear you anymore.
Are you with me?
Yes, we can hear you now. Please go ahead.
Okay. The challenges have been that people arbitrarily dump refuse in waterways, and of course drainages, and of course people constructing without having to liaise with the appropriate authorities. Thereby, they construct on waterways. These are some of the, causative factors for flooding, all over the world.
And I was asking you earlier, how soon are you going to evacuate those who will be affected by this recent announcement?
As I have said, we have identified safe havens, and we'll be able to provide temporary shelters for anyone that would be affected. And as it is now, we are carrying out a number of sensitization outreaches, warning people, to look out for, the rains. As soon as it becomes, overwhelming, they should evacuate themselves, to the safe havens provided. Otherwise, we'll come in and do that.
All right, we'll continue to, I'm sure we'll stay in touch with you to see how you respond to the expected flood in these localities. Thank you so much for talking to us. Executive Secretary, Kaduna State Emergency Management Agency, Mohammed Mukadas.